Defeat. This word appeared in Crane's mind for the first time. Messages for help from vice admirals on various warships kept coming in at her command center, all expressing, without reinforcements, Uchiha Madara is about to break through. But reinforcements? Are there any available now? Yes, but only one. That's right, it's Crane herself. This time, we brought a fighting force comparable to a 4 Emperors pirate crew, but we are being defeated on all fronts. Crane listened to the continuous calls for help, her face filled with disbelief. To be honest, the strength present here was already extremely powerful. Compared to the entire 4 Emperors pirate crew, they were only slightly inferior in terms of top combat power, lacking experts at the level of the 4 Emperors. If it were individual 4 Emperors, they could be slowly surrounded and killed. But they were still completely suppressed by Uchiha Madara. The situation of the vice admirals on the warships goes without saying, and according to the observations of the liaison officers on the front lines, the admirals were also at a disadvantage. Uchiha Madara. This is a powerful individual comparable to the 4 Emperors. Crane took a deep breath and slowly closed her eyes. No, perhaps in terms of combat power alone, Uchiha Madara and the 4 Emperors are on par, but in terms of various methods. Dozens of clones, each with Vice Admiral level combat power at the weakest. Do the 4 Emperors have this ability? Even Charlotte Linlin, who is known for her strange abilities with the Soul Fruit, is not this formidable. Regardless, we can't let him break through so easily. Crane sighed inwardly and stood up. Although this Uchiha Madara here looks like a clone, if one Uchiha Madara escapes, Marine's grand operation will be completely in vain. At the very least, they need to convey Marine's efforts. So Crane immediately rushed to the warship with the worst situation, where the Vice Admiral had already fainted. As for the incoming calls for help, they could only be ignored. In reality, the admirals were being suppressed miserably, but at least they had strength. More than half of them had elemental abilities. But what about the Vice Admirals? Some of the stronger Vice Admirals naturally had an easy time. With warships and subordinates assisting them, it wasn't difficult to hold off a clone of Uchiha Madara. But the weaker Vice Admirals, boom, Vice Admiral Oridington was heavily hit on the ship, and the tremendous impact made the ship tremble. Damn, how can he be this strong? Vice Admiral Oridington spat out blood, despairingly looking at the giant before him. Susanoo, although it wasn't in its complete form, that giant standing on the sea had immense power with every move. Are the reinforcements not here yet? The rear admiral next to him couldn't help but curse. No. The communications officer also felt helpless. What could he do? It's not his fault that there are no reinforcements. Vice Admiral Oridington, although not the weakest, was relatively unlucky. Because he was on Zephyr's ship was one of the most advanced in the Marines. However, the problem was that Zephyr's position was that of a training instructor. Although it had cannons, fundamentally speaking, this ship was a Marine training vessel. Its firepower was naturally far inferior to other warships. And the soldiers? Faced with such a giant, how many sacrifices would they have to make to be of any use? Not to mention that the soldiers on the training ship, although considered elite compared to ordinary soldiers, were ultimately just recruits who hadn't graduated. Do you all want to dance too? Uchiha Madara's clone stood within Susanoo, looking disdainfully at the people on the warship. Smack. He took a step forward, and Susanoo's huge foot made a muffled sound as it stomped on the water's surface, causing large waves to spread. The warship swayed, and many recruits, frightened, retreated. Clearly, their courage had been shattered. But Zephyr was still Zephyr after all. A group of recruits who mustered up their courage rushed towards Susanoo. However, everyone, step back. This is not a battle you can participate in. Vice Admiral Oridington's eyes widened. These were Marine's future. However, swish, with a single sword strike, even if it didn't hit their bodies, the wind it stirred up scattered all the charging recruits. Then, the sword swung towards the warship. Damn it! Vice Admiral Oridington looked at the approaching giant sword with despair in his eyes. Is this as far as it goes? Suddenly, a gust of wind blew. A bald man in a yellow jumpsuit walked forward casually, saying, "It's so windy." Is he a newcomer brought by Zephyr? Vice Admiral Oridington was taken aback, then immediately shouted, "Newcomer, run! This is an enemy you can't handle. Run away." Saitama was momentarily stunned, then smiled and said, "In the face of disaster, if even the heroes run away, who else can stand up?" The next moment, Saitama took action, with a simple punch. Boom! Susanoo shattered. How is this possible? That giant was actually killed in just one blow. Vice Admiral is an extremely formidable opponent. No, this is an illusion. I must be hallucinating. Yes, that guy Uchiha Madara seems to be very skilled in genjutsu. This must be his illusion. However, 1 second passed, 10 seconds passed, 3 minutes passed. Uchiha Madara's figure still did not appear. The figure inside Susanoo had already dissipated into smoke under Saitama's punch. Everyone stared in shock at the situation before them, completely stunned. What a great acting performance, as expected of me, Saitama thought to himself. Of course, this was all just acting. The current Zhao Shu, who is still fighting with 5 Admiral PK, how could a mere clone punch through Susanoo? Of course it's possible, as long as you can coordinate with the Uchiha Madara clone controlling Susanoo. If he cooperates well, even a breath from you can blow away Susanoo. As for what actually happened, well, when Zhao Shu, in his true form, played the role of Saitama, he also had this power. Now, as a clone, he can only rely on the cooperation of the Uchiha Madara clone. Vice Admiral Orrington looked at the silly and cute Saitama with an incredulous expression. Who is he? Before the battle started, he thought that the newcomers were not useful, and he ordered this guy named Saitama, who wasn't even wearing a marine uniform, to step aside. But now, you are Saitama, right? Orrington swallowed his saliva and finally reacted, with such great power, why didn't you say so earlier? Huh? Did I not say it? Saitama was taken aback, looking at Orrington with confusion. Orrington's face turned red, as if this guy had indeed said it. But, well, I'm actually very strong. Those were Saitama's words at the time. That strange tone, the lack of energy in his voice, as if he were a dried-up salted fish. Who would think that a salted fish is actually a real dragon? Of course, now is not the time to consider these things. Mr. Saitama, since you have the strength, can you please go support our allies around here? Orrington requested. There are enemies fighting against us Marines over there too. He had already seen Uchiha Madara's clone fighting with other vice admirals in the distance, which was why he didn't scold the communication officer like Rear Admiral did. They needed reinforcements everywhere, but where could they find reinforcements for you? Saitama thought for a moment and nodded. Oh, sure. Well, he could also perform on other warships. Meanwhile, so, Saitama's clone broke my clone. Uchiha Madara squinted his eyes and suddenly burst into laughter. Interesting, interesting, interesting. The admirals were taken aback and looked over. I didn't expect that among you, apart from the few present, there would be such a strong person. Uchiha Madara laughed heartily, breaking my clone with just one punch. Your preparations are not bad. Breaking Uchiha Madara's clone with just one punch? Who has this ability? The admirals looked at each other, breaking it with one punch. Right now, they were almost being broken by Uchiha Madara with one punch. Zephyr suddenly realized, is it Saitama? Is he really that strong? Zephyr naturally knew that Saitama was very strong. So far, he had not seen an opponent that Saitama couldn't defeat with one punch. That's why he was so eager to recruit Saitama into the Marines. However, this operation required absolute trust. Apart from the 3 admirals, Zephyr himself, and the strong members of CP0 directly under the world government, no other vice admirals were allowed to join the battlefield. That's why he left Saitama on the warship. Of course, at first, he wouldn't participate. If it weren't for Uchiha Madara's clone attacking all the ships at the same time, the vice admirals would have already joined the battle. But, if I had known he was this strong, I should have brought him along. Zephyr slapped his palm, full of regret. The others frowned as well. If Marine had such a strong combat force and used it properly. The strong members of CP0 also furrowed their brows. Marine has become powerful again, this matter must be reported to the world government. 1, 2, 3. Uchiha Madara squinted his eyes, have 5 clones been taken out already? Enough, let's end the fun here. His eyes narrowed, a hint of interest flashed in his eyes. It's time for me to leave too. The battle quickly came to an end. Even with Crane personally taking action, he couldn't change the fact that Marine was defeated. After Uchiha Madara's clone broke through Vice Admiral's warship, instead of dealing with other warships or helping other clones, he directly broke through the encirclement and disappeared. Obviously, even the Chief of Staff Crane couldn't figure out where Uchiha Madara was. The admirals were completely defeated on the battlefield. The 5 admirals couldn't even break through the clones. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Uchiha Madara himself left directly. Fortunately, he left, otherwise some admirals might have been left behind. If it weren't for Vice Admiral Crane's intervention, along with Uchiha Madara's departure, the clones on the admiral's battlefield would have continued the fight for a long time. There is no doubt that Marine has lost face this time. The world government will probably condemn Marine, but it's unlikely they will say anything too extreme, because the CP0 of the world government also got involved and gained nothing. A great defeat. A complete defeat. Uchiha Madara became famous in one battle. His reputation spread far and wide, inspiring fear in others. However, Marine did not come away empty-handed. Saitama. Zephyr, although injured, was not sad but rather happy. He looked excitedly at Saitama and said, "You are really strong." Zephyr knew that Saitama was strong and had a strong sense of justice. But he never expected him to be this strong. The unexpected surprise made him happy, and he didn't even care about Uchiha Madara's escape. Although Uchiha Madara made a big move, he didn't actually do anything bad, he just killed a celestial dragon. On the other hand, Saitama. A gleam flashed in Zephyr's eyes. Saitama calmly peeled a banana. Marine's supplies were quite good, with fresh fruits. Zephyr, being injured, had received many fruit baskets from friends and family, which happened to provide him with some food. You might become the supernova of our Marine. Oh. Saitama earnestly ate his banana. The three admirals are not blind. With such great achievements, you will definitely be rewarded by higher-ups. Eating bananas, eating bananas, eating bananas. This time, you saved many vice admirals. Your strength is also sufficient. Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't know much about your abilities. If I had sent you to join us in attacking Uchiha Madara, perhaps the situation would have been different. Delicious, delicious, delicious. When we return, I will recommend you to Admiral Sengoku. If everything goes well, you might even be able to request a fleet from Sengoku. Saitama finally paused his eating speed, slowly raised his head, and glanced at Zephyr. What's wrong? Are you so surprised that you can't believe such good things can happen? No. I just wanted to ask, do you eat the apples in the fruit basket? If you don't eat them, can I have them? Suddenly, Zephyr felt that relying on someone like Saitama, who had become a marine supernova, might not be so reliable. As Zephyr had anticipated, after Zephyr submitted a report on Saitama's achievements to Sengoku, Sengoku unsurprisingly decided to commend Saitama. In fact, this was also his best choice. At this moment, when many admirals were defeated, vice admirals were injured, and the prestige of the Marines greatly diminished, what would happen to the morale of the Marines if they didn't have a new aspiration and longing? How would they deter pirates? Therefore, Saitama, who held the greatest advantage, was promoted to Rear Admiral. The promotion was significant. Rear Admiral was already a rank second only to Vice Admiral, and even in the Grand Line, it was enough to suppress a region. But neither the Vice Admirals nor the Admirals had any complaints. With his strength, if it weren't for joining the Marines for too short a time, it was estimated that becoming an Admiral was possible. Even considering the accumulated achievements, reputation, and so on, it couldn't be given too low. Moreover, Saitama had made great contributions this time. The only trouble was that Saitama, unlike ordinary Marines, didn't accept the hierarchical relationship between superiors and subordinates. So Sengoku could only helplessly assign Saitama's superior to Zephyr. After all, Zephyr was very trustworthy and valued talent, he wouldn't let Saitama suffer. The superior relationship was thus settled, but what about the subordinate relationship? The recruits under my command are all elite. How about you pick some to join you? Zephyr generously said. Zephyr was in charge of the Marine Recruit Training Camp and was the overall instructor of the Marine Academy. The recruits under his direct command were the cream of the crop. Of course, Saitama also had to be equipped with elite Marines. Because Zephyr planned to let Saitama independently lead a warship to search and hunt pirates in the Grand Line. Just like the pirate guerrilla team that Zephyr would form in the future. Choosing soldiers. I don't want to deal with that. Saitama sighed with dead fish eyes. Heroes don't have superiors or subordinates. You are a Marine now. Zephyr frowned. I am a hero driven by interest, Saitama lazily said. Zephyr frowned. Although he highly regarded Saitama, this was too unlike a soldier. How could a soldier not have superiors or subordinates? Then who would they listen to on the battlefield? Superiors could handle themselves, but subordinates absolutely cannot be without. Zephyr sensei, At this moment, A recruit next to them bit their lip and gathered their courage. What if Naval Headquarters sends a deputy to handle ship navigation and other issues? Zephyr was taken aback. This was a solution. A normal captain needed to possess a lot of specialized knowledge: wind direction, navigation, reading compasses, artillery attacks, soldiers' daily training. But Saitama obviously didn't know these things. That works too. Zephyr nodded and said, "Recruit, what's your name again?" "Toshigi, Zephyr-sensei, I'm Toshigi." Toshigi immediately straightened up and saluted. "I remember now. You're the girl who was given a sword by Saitama." "Yes. Thank you, Rear Admiral Saitama, for valuing me." "Very well, then you will join Saitama's team." "Yes, Zephyr-sensei." And so, the fleet under the command of Saitama was established. In reality, there was no need for much concern. As the organization that dominates the seas, the Marines, arranging a warship was a simple task. Toshigi, due to her valuable suggestions, was promoted to warrant officer. For a recruit of only 12 or 13 years old, this was already an exceptional promotion. And then, the other sailors were also assigned accordingly. Gunners, navigators, ship repairmen, communicators, chefs. The Marines were a large organization, and Zephyr personally oversaw the recruit training camp. It was easy to arrange a warship. Saitama didn't need to search for them one by one like Luffy. The Marines directly dispatched them. If you think they are not suitable, you can send them back and they will be reassigned to you. Although the recruits joining Saitama's warship lacked experience, they only lacked a bit of experience. After some time, Naval Headquarters would send an experienced officer to serve as Saitama's deputy, which would be enough to make up for the lack of experience. Of course, they haven't been dispatched yet, because the higher-ups at Naval Headquarters are still reviewing this major defeat. Naval Headquarters. I didn't expect Uchiha Madara to be so strong. Sengoku took a deep breath and closed his eyes. If only you had gone there earlier. Garp ate his senbei nonchalantly and said. Sengoku's mouth moved, but in the end, he let out a sigh. Go there? How could he possibly go there? The Marines were powerful, with many experts. They had Admiral-level combat power and even 4 Emperors-level combat power. But there were also many areas that the Marines needed to take care of. Let's not talk about Mariajoy. Can you afford to leave it unguarded? Who knows what's happening with the 4 Emperors? Can you trust the surveillance ships? Can you afford to be completely unprepared? And there are other pirates in the New World. Sengoku had already mobilized all the available forces. Even the world government had sent reinforcements. But the result? If I had known he was this strong, I wouldn't have gone to fight. Sengoku slammed the table in anger. He wouldn't have gone to fight at all. The 4 Emperors were only those 4 people until Ace's incident, and that's when the Marines seized the opportunity. Otherwise, they wouldn't have fought at all. Garp ate his senbei without a care, looking at Sengoku's unpleasant expression. It had been a long time since he had seen Sengoku look so bad. Garp, don't you feel anything? Sengoku became furious when he saw this and said, You are a Marine Vice Admiral. TCH, is Uchiha Madara a pirate? Garp said nonchalantly, he didn't plunder or massacre. He just killed a few celestial dragons. It's not a big deal. Sengoku interrupted angrily, not a big deal? Have the 4 Emperors killed celestial dragons? Have other pirates killed celestial dragons? Who made the celestial dragons go after him first? Garp said indifferently, anyway, there are so many celestial dragons. What's the big deal if 1 or 2 die? 1 or 2 die. Sengoku's mouth twitched. He knew that Garp himself didn't like the celestial dragons, which was why he spoke like that. In fact, he also disliked the celestial dragons and sometimes even wanted to go to Mariajoy and kill them himself. But the problem was that Uchiha Madara's actions not only struck at the celestial dragons but also at the prestige of the world government and the Marines. The Shichibukai plan needs to be accelerated. Sengoku narrowed his eyes and thought to himself. And of course, there's Uchiha Madara's bounty. On the other side, all the personnel on Saitama's warship, except for the vice captain, were ready. Zephyr even personally came to Saitama's warship and handed him the Marine's Justice Cape. Put on this Justice Cape. Even if you don't wear it anymore in the future, I really want to see what you look like wearing it. Alright. Saitama shrugged and shook out the cape, draping it over his shoulders. The Justice Cape fluttered in the wind, like the rising sun, dazzling and eye-catching. Seeing the cape fluttering with justice, Zephyr's eyes became somewhat moist. Justice. A hero. He hoped that he would always be the hero of Marine's justice. Casually wiping away the tears in the corners of his eyes, Zephyr revealed a smile. The orders from the Marines have also arrived, Rear Admiral Saitama. You will lead your ship to roam the Grand Line and eliminate pirates. The Marines' intelligence network will be open to you, and you can also rely on Marine bases for supplies at any time. Oh, by the way, in order to allow you to maintain your freedom of action, I specifically obtained an exclusive order for you from Naval Headquarters. Exclusive order? Saitama was taken aback. Yes. Zephyr nodded solemnly. You know Garp, right? He pursued the pirate King Roger on the orders of Naval Headquarters. And now, the Marine orders Rear Admiral Saitama to pursue Uchiha Madara starting today. Chasing Uchiha Madara. Of course, it's not actually chasing him. We don't even know where Uchiha Madara is, and he's not even a dedicated pirate. Why bother chasing him? But that doesn't mean we can't use that title. Back in the day, Garp chased after Pirate King Roger for several years and eventually forced him to become the Pirate King. But so what? Although none of Roger's crew members were killed by Garp, he did kill a bunch of random small pirates around him. Just having the reputation of chasing Roger is enough. In reality, we should just focus on fighting pirates. Besides, this incident has caused a huge uproar. Uchiha Madara's news is already appearing in the newspapers, and the Marines must respond to this. The answer given by the battle results is to form a special unit to chase Uchiha Madara. We, the Marines, firmly believe that justice will prevail. No matter how strong Uchiha Madara is, it won't stop us from pursuing him. Whether we can kill him or not is a matter of ability. Whether we chase him or not is a matter of determination. Sengoku made this distinction very clear. It's just this order. Saitama's mouth twitched, and he finally said, "All right, I'll do my best." As expected, the news about Uchiha Madara quickly appeared in the newspapers. Defeating 3 admirals together? Attacking vice admirals with clones? Escaping from Marine's massive encirclement? This news instantly caused a sensation throughout the Grand Line. If Uchiha Madara's fame hadn't spread so quickly and he wasn't a pirate, someone might have already called him the second Pirate King. His bounty also increased significantly, reaching 3 billion berries. This number is second only to the 4 emperors. In fact, after Blackbeard became one of the 4 emperors, his bounty was only 2.2476 billion berries. Uchiha Madara only did 2 things, killing celestial dragons and breaking through Marine's encirclement. But these 2 things were enough to greatly increase his reputation. And in response to this, the Marines, Saitama. They forcefully promoted Saitama to Rear Admiral and publicized his strength, even bringing in a bunch of Vice Admirals to speak. Vice Admiral Wushe. Saitama is very strong, much stronger than me. Vice Admiral Steele. No matter the enemy, they will be defeated with a single punch. It's a pity we don't know his true strength, otherwise we would have arranged for him to join the admirals and surround Uchiha Madara. Vice Admiral Eroding. He saved my life. His justice is the brightest light in that failure. Zephyr. That man is Marine's hope. Garp. I believe he will definitely bring Uchiha Madara to justice, just like how I brought Roger to justice back then. Although boasting and flattery make up 90% of these statements, it can be said that, except for Zephyr, the others may have some understanding of Saitama's strength, but they definitely don't value him that much. However, there's a saying, repeat a lie 1,000 times, and it becomes the truth. So, under the bombardment of Marines' reports, Zhao Shu, with a bewildered expression, discovered that the sailors on the entire warship would occasionally look at him with worshipful eyes. And among those who worshipped him the most fervently was Saitama Rear Admiral. How did you become so strong? Toshigi, with a face full of admiration, asks, can you teach me? Saitama noticed the fisheye attention and saw that many Marines around him were secretly looking at him as Toshigi spoke. But, it's just the perfect stage for a performance. Do you want to know? Saitama's expression suddenly became serious. Thump, thump. The hearts of the Marines around him raced. Toshigi swallowed her saliva. Yes. Well, if you want to know, listen carefully, Saitama calmly said. The Marines around him focused intensely. For a moment, on the huge warship, there was no sound except for the sound of waves. Saitama's face was serious, his eyes filled with solemnity. The key lies in whether you can persist in executing this arduous training plan. Training? Not relying on devil fruit, but training? What kind of training is it? Listen, Toshigi, the key is perseverance. Saitama slightly closed his eyes. No matter how difficult it is, you must persevere. It took me 3 years to reach this level. The next second, Saitama spoke seriously. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats. The expressions of the crowd froze, and also a 10-kilometer run, do it every day. Toshigi's eyes widened. Of course, you can't skip 3 meals a day, you can eat bananas in the morning, and the focus is on training your willpower, no air conditioning in summer or winter. At first, it's painfully unbearable, and you might want to rest for a day, but if you want to become a powerful hero, no matter how painful it is, you must train every day until you vomit blood. Even if your legs are too heavy to move, you must continue to squat. Even if your arms creak, you must continue to do push-ups. I noticed changes in my body after a year and a half. I became bald, but I also became stronger. In other words, you must be willing to sacrifice your hair and train yourself to death. That's the only secret to becoming powerful. Saitama said proudly, those guys who rely on abilities and mysterious fruits will never reach my level. Relying on oneself to become stronger is the true strength of humans. Toshigi looked shocked, and the others had blank and stiff expressions. What? Is this how Saitama Rear Admiral became stronger? Please don't joke around. Toshigi couldn't help but speak up. Saitama Rear Admiral, haven't you seen the Marines' training schedule? Even the weakest recruit undergoes training that exceeds the intensity you mentioned. Your training is simply not difficult enough, it's just the average level for ordinary people. What we want to know is the secret to how you became so powerful. Toshigi. Saitama blinked his dead fish eyes. But, this is how I became stronger. Bang. Saitama threw a punch, and the space in front of him instantly cleared. Blood splattered, and the faces of many pirates were filled with astonishment, while the soldiers of the Marines were filled with fanaticism, shouting Saitama's name. Saitama Rear Admiral. Saitama Rear Admiral. Saitama Rear Admiral. The pirates were shocked. Saitama? Is it the Marine Rear Admiral who chased after Uchiha Madara? In fact, news of Saitama chasing after Uchiha Madara had long been spread, but most pirates treated it as a joke. Uchiha Madara? But he defeated a Marine Admiral, so why would a Rear Admiral chase after him? However, Saitama's fearsome reputation suddenly spread across the sea. One punch, and another punch. Whether it was a powerful bounty hunter or a famous pirate in the New World, every time he threw a punch, he completely obliterated his opponent. He didn't chase after pirates indiscriminately, but specifically targeted those with cruel personalities. With a silly and cute expression, coupled with the power of his punch, he instantly became famous, the Marine Supernova, Saitama. It seems like the title of Bald Cape Hero hasn't spread widely yet. Zhao Shu looked at the terrified pirates around him and sighed inwardly. Well, Saitama's title in the Hero Association is Bald Cape Hero. Although Zhao Shu didn't like this title, he had no choice but to prepare to adopt it for himself. Unfortunately, even though he tried to spread rumors through his clones, this title hadn't gained much recognition yet. Saitama still maintained that silly and cute expression, while the soldiers of the Marines, led by Toshigi, swarmed out and arrested the pirates. Under the intimidation of the leader being killed with a single punch, there were not many capable of resisting. And with each performance, Zhao Shu's template was rapidly improving. Host. Zhao Shu. Possessing character templates. 1. Uchiha Madara, 71%. 2. Saitama, 55%. The improvement of Uchiha Madara has reached a level close to its peak. Currently, the Mangekyo Sharingan has evolved into the Rinnegan, and both the Wood style and the Sage mode have reached their peak in terms of eye power. The Yin-Yang release is also the same. The only remaining gap is becoming a 10 Tails Jincha, Riki. But it is enough to sweep everything. However, the Saitama template is different from the Uchiha Madara template, as it does not have such a significant improvement in skills. But power, speed, endurance, and so on, are rapidly increasing. Based on the bottomless strength of the original Saitama Demon King, the current Saitama is definitely a variety of strong opponents. Zhao Shu feels that the strength of the Saitama template is already close to the Uchiha Madara template. Of course, both templates have their own advantages. Although Saitama is strong, it is only strong in terms of data, while Uchiha Madara has various skills, especially in support. Saitama has arranged Uchiha Madara's clone technique very well indeed. Gathering intelligence, finding suitable scenes to show off, and promoting the title of Bald Cape Hero. Suddenly, Saitama squints his eyes, and at this moment, The little girl Toshigi also walks over with a sword named Shigur that is almost as tall as her. Currently, the deputy assigned by the naval headquarters has not arrived yet. It seems that Zephyr is considering the possibility of the deputy having an impact on Saitama's prestige. So the plan is to suppress for a while and send someone later. Therefore, Toshigi is currently in charge of the warship. Although Toshigi is young, has a low rank, and is not strong, Saitama trusts her very much and has entrusted her with many important tasks. She has natural talent and her strength has been rapidly improving as she has experienced a series of battles with Saitama. Saitama Rear Admiral, the pirates have been captured. Toshigi wipes the sweat from her forehead and softly asks, "What should we do next?" The little girl is not yet mature, but her slender legs, slim waist, and occasionally causing some cute problems make people really like her. If it weren't for Saitama always having that dead fish eye expression, rumors like, "Saitama Rear Admiral loves little girls," might have spread. Is that so? Are there any extremely evil pirates nearby? Saitama says absent-mindedly. Yes, according to marine intelligence, there is a group of pirates called Belize near Boyu Island with a bounty of 130 million. Toshigi thinks for a moment and says, there is an underground black market group called the Shuanzi family on New Ming Island. There is also. Saitama listens absent-mindedly, thinks for a moment, and says, let's go to New Ming Island first. Yes. Toshigi nods and turns to arrange the route, but a strange thought flashes through her mind. In the past, Saitama Rear Admiral would choose the closest one, right? Zhao Shu squints his eyes and watches Toshigi busy. Just now, a clone disappeared. At the same time, it also brought some information. The Celestial Dragon's heavenly gold is about to pass through this sea area, and the underground forces on New Ming Island seem to be investigating the heavenly gold's route. At the same time, in the distance, the Don Quixote family also seems to be showing some unusual activity. Doflamingo has recently been planning a major scheme, how to become a Shichibukai. To become a Shichibukai, one must first have strength and reputation. Doflamingo is definitely a dominant figure, with charisma, loyal brothers, and the foresight of a penultimate. His reputation as Joker is not low in the underworld. He has also eliminated countless pirates and marines. Although he doesn't have any notable achievements like directly confronting the four emperors, his strength has been proven to a certain extent. In theory, it is only natural and reasonable for him to become a Shichibukai. Under normal circumstances, as long as he plans carefully, there shouldn't be any problems. However, a problem has arisen. With the appearance of Uchiha Madara, the reputation of the marines has plummeted, and the pirates in the Grand Line have become more powerful. This has forced the marines to expedite the establishment of the Shichibukai. The previous Shichibukai who were revoked naturally don't need to be concerned about, but the remaining spots need to be filled as soon as possible to suppress the chaos in the Grand Line together with the marines. Doflamingo is naturally a hero of his generation, but there is no shortage of heroes on the sea. In the New World, there are several strong individuals with reputations and strength similar to Doflamingo's, and some are even stronger. Some have even fought against the four emperors, and their reputation is stronger than Doflamingo's, who is still considered young. The first thing Admiral Sengoku, the fleet admiral of the Marines, considers is those individuals. When the undercover spy in the Marines relayed this information to Doflamingo, he immediately decided to start planning. Attack Heavenly Gold. He has spies, he himself was originally a celestial dragon, and he has a network of connections. Once a decision is made, it is swiftly executed. And so, like a pink swan sailing in the wind, with a swan head wearing sunglasses as the figurehead and a Jolly Roger with a smiling face as the pirate flag, they continuously bombard the marine warships. Ha ha ha, Heavenly Gold, shouldn't this belong to me, a celestial dragon? Doflamingo laughs heartily, opening his arms, his eyes filled with madness. That's right, young master is right, Trebol chuckles. Pika's sharp voice resounds, for young master's plan, you marines will die here. Escorting Heavenly Gold as Rear Admiral Katter. Damn, how did this happen? Rear Admiral Katter, although he advanced to Rear Admiral by attaching himself to the Celestial Dragons, still possesses some strength. However, he is completely unable to stop the attacks from the Don Quixote family. Has the message for reinforcements been sent? Rear Admiral Katter organizes the gunners to counterattack while shouting loudly. It has been sent. Our troops have responded, but it will take time for them to arrive. The communication soldier hastily replies, his subordinates busy sending out requests for reinforcements. Rear Admiral Katter grits his teeth. In reality, he knows that requesting reinforcements is useless. This is the Grand Line, and the surrounding marine forces are not that strong. Even if some reinforcements were to come, can they defeat the Don Quixote family? These people are quite formidable. Soon, Rear Admiral Katter is sent flying by a punch from Pika, blood spraying from his mouth. Very well, prepare to transport our treasures, Doflamingo reveals a smile. Doflamingo. Marine warships have been spotted ahead. Diamante stands on the lookout tower and shouts loudly. Marines? Doflamingo furrows his brow. He calculated correctly, the surrounding marines shouldn't have arrived yet. So he asks, which marine is it? The codename is HS2. HS2? Doflamingo is momentarily stunned, then bursts into laughter. What's wrong, Doflamingo? Do you know this codename? Trebol curiously asks. Well, I do. Doflamingo laughs heartily. HS1 was originally Garp's codename. When he was chasing after Roger, he used this codename, which means Marine Special Operations Unit Number 1, so HS2. Everyone is momentarily stunned, then smiles appear on their faces. Is it that guy who Marine used to salvage their reputation, the lucky kid named Saitama? Indeed, how lucky. He joined the Marines just a few months ago and quickly rose to the position of Rear Admiral. If it weren't for the man named Uchiha Madara dealing a heavy blow to the Marines' reputation, he wouldn't have been promoted so quickly. And even chasing after Uchiha Madara, it was just a card played by the Marines to salvage their reputation. Members of the Don Quixote family burst into disdainful laughter, their gazes directed towards the warship. As expected, in front of the warship, they soon see a shiny bald head. Uchiha Madara. Able to defeat 5 admirals head-on, break through the encirclement of numerous vice-admirals, how formidable. Even I wouldn't dare to provoke him. Doflamingo reveals a sinister smile, but a Marine Rear Admiral. Hey, do you think if I take down this Marine supernova, Marine will immediately grant me a Shichibukai position? The Shichibukai need reputation and strength in order to deter pirates. Without strength, how can one gain reputation? Of course, by causing trouble. Of course, causing trouble also varies in severity. Someone like Uchiha Madara, for example, is absolutely impossible to recruit as a Shichibukai. The crimes he committed were too great. Similarly, the 4 emperors are the same. Of course, they don't need the title of Shichibukai either. But Doflamingo does. Although Doflamingo has some reputation, it mainly exists in the underground. He is like a king in the darkness, so his reputation for deterring pirates on the surface is relatively weaker compared to the other candidates. At this stage, he is still lacking a bit. This is one of the reasons why Sengoku has not chosen Doflamingo as a Shichibukai. So, let's establish my reputation. Doflamingo laughed strangely, opened his arms, and leapt into the air. Then, he flew in the sky. This is the origin of his title, Heavenly Yaksha. Oh, isn't this the Marine supernova? If you surrender honestly, we can also reduce the damage you'll receive, hehe. Doflamingo landed on Saitama's warship, revealing his iconic smile. Who is he? Saitama blinked his eyes and asked with a silly expression. Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo, with a bounty of 340 million berries. Toshigi hesitated for a moment and said. Then, she looked at Doflamingo with a subtle gaze. Is he asking Saitama, a Rear Admiral, to surrender? Oh. Saitama was stunned for a moment, then looked at him with that silly expression and said, Are you strong? Are you so sure you can defeat me? Doflamingo's laughter grew even louder. Am I strong? Of course, I am. Do you think you have the qualifications to chase after Uchiha Madara? Saitama. At this moment, the other members of the Don Quixote family gave up escorting the ship carrying heavenly gold in the sky. They used various means and stood in front of Saitama. Their people had already dealt with the escort ship in the sky, and the remaining matters could be handled by ordinary members. He. A group of people emitted a cold killing intent, with a sneer on their faces, staring at Saitama. Gladius snorted angrily, HMPH, don't surrender, I haven't warmed up yet. Surrender? Toshigi, the leading marine soldier, was taken aback, and then they all showed a strange expression. Seeing the expressions of the Don Quixote family members, it didn't seem like they were going to resist. But it also didn't seem like they were surrendering. Diamante coldly snorted and drew his sword. Since Doflamingo has allowed you to surrender, as long as you surrender, I will protect your safety. But if you don't surrender... In the next second, he swung his sword fiercely, and a sword light slashed through the ship's deck. Crack. the ship's mast was instantly cut in half, and the entire surface became as smooth as a mirror. Haha, this is what you get for not surrendering. Before he could finish his sentence, a fist wearing plastic gloves suddenly struck. Bang! Diamante's upper body was hit by that punch, completely turning into minced meat. Saitama's forehead formed a well shape. Hey, you owe me for the ship's mast. Diamante, dead, in an instant, the members of the Don Quixote family's faces changed drastically. One punch? Diamante died from just one punch? This was a powerful fighter with a bounty of 9,900,000. Moreover, Doflamingo was highly skilled, and the bounties of the Don Quixote family members generally did not match their strength. Ordinary pirates with bounties of 1 or 2 billion might not necessarily be able to match Diamante. But in front of Saitama, just one punch. How is this possible? Pika exclaimed sharply, what is this man? How is it not possible? Tashigi snorted disdainfully, Saitama Rear Admiral just punched and killed a pirate named Boro with a bounty of 1,900,000,000 yesterday. Is it strange that he killed someone with less than a billion bounty like you? Without the strength to kill anyone with just one punch, why would Garp and the others give Saitama the title of Rear Admiral? Why would Tashigi and the others worship Saitama so much? Do you really think it's all because of Marine's needs and the propaganda department's manipulation? Not good. Doflamingo instantly broke out in a cold sweat. Defeating Diamante was nothing, he himself could defeat Diamante. But to kill Diamante with just a casual punch. The 4 emperors, it seems they are nothing special either? But before he could say anything, the members of the Don Quixote family suddenly made their move. You bastard! How dare you kill Diamante? For the sake of our family. The relatively young Baby 5 and Buffalo couldn't help but launch their attacks. Wait, stop! Doflamingo suddenly woke up and exclaimed. Then, he instinctively looked toward Saitama. But there was no one there. The next second, he turned his head to look. He saw Saitama inserting Baby 5 and Buffalo into the ground in an upside-down manner. Really, you dared to attack my ship's mast? Saitama glanced at Baby 5 and Buffalo, who were stuck in the ground, then looked at Doflamingo and sighed. Well, let's put jokes aside, his gaze was very calm. You guys, apologize now. You guys, apologize now. Plain words, lazy expression, but it brought a strong pressure. However, the Don Quixote family is experienced in countless battles, and most importantly. How dare you kill Diamante? A sharp voice rang out, and Pika's face showed anger. Doflamingo's expression changed, about to speak. But Pika suddenly reached out and pressed down. At the same time, several reefs rose from the sea surface and were thrown up violently. In the next second, Pika grabbed the reefs, and they instantly turned into a liquid state, like armor, enveloping his entire body. The stone fruit allows the user to assimilate with the rocks they come into contact with, incorporating the appearance, hardness, and other properties of the rocks into their own power. The ability user who receives the power of the rocks can transform into a massive stone giant for attack. Obviously, he knew the characteristics of his own ability, and it was difficult to find usable stones on the sea surface. Therefore, he had arranged ordinary members to hide underwater early on, always ready to throw up reefs and turn them into his weapons. Even if the ability user who assimilated with the rocks had their body shattered, they could regenerate, making them the strongest member of the Don Quixote family in terms of defense. With such an ability, even Saitama wouldn't be able to kill him with just one punch, right? Dancing stone. Pika's sharp voice rang out, and his huge body suddenly burst out with spikes made of 8 rocks, stabbing toward Saitama. His speed wasn't fast, but the ability of the stone fruit allowed him to launch multiple attacks at the same time. 8 spikes, 4 times the attack frequency of an ordinary person. Stab, stab, stab. Countless large and sharp stone pillars came stabbing, but Saitama still had that silly and cute expression. He turned, twisted, and jumped. His movements didn't resemble a fighting stance at all, but he easily evaded all the attacks. And then, bang! Saitama took a step forward, approached, and clenched his plastic-gloved hand into a fist. Consecutive normal punches, bang, 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 bang. In an instant, his fist seemed to multiply into dozens, all striking at once. Anthena boom. The entire stone giant was completely shattered by his punches. Blood splattered, and Pika inside didn't even have a chance to say a word before being completely obliterated. Pika himself wouldn't turn into stone, but his true body would hide within the rocks. Therefore, it was ineffective to shatter or cut the ability user who assimilated with the rocks. One had to directly defeat the ability user who controlled the rocks. But Saitama's attacks completely ignored the distinction between the true body and the rock, smashing them all with one punch. Plop. The rocks fell and landed on the ground, becoming the only sound on the warship. Saitama had an expressionless face, and then, he glanced at Doflamingo. "We surrender." Doflamingo's body stiffened. Without saying a word, he raised his hands. "Young master? Dafi." The members of the Don Quixote family stared in astonishment at their leader. "We surrender. Trebol, put down your staff. Everyone, drop your weapons. We surrender." Doflamingo shouted loudly, his eyes under the sunglasses filled with endless fear. Not surrendering meant death. It would really mean death. Damn it, he was just a foolish-looking guy. Why was he so strong? To think that Marine had created something like him just for publicity. But no matter what, it had nothing to do with him. Doflamingo could only obediently raise his hands, wearing a bitter smile. And so, the battle ended. Under Doflamingo's command, the Don Quixote family surrendered completely. Toshigi, accustomed to such situations, calmly took out sea-stone handcuffs from the cabin and put them on one by one. They would probably be sent to the deep-sea prison next. Doflamingo didn't care either. He had connections within the world government, and with proper operation, he might be able to escape. Compared to the calamity of imprisonment, life and death were the bigger issues. However, does this kid have a bounty too? Saitama thought for a moment, pointing at Baby 5, who was stuck on the deck like a leak. Huh? Toshigi was taken aback and immediately started searching the bounty list. Report, Rear Admiral, she doesn't have a bounty. Oh, then don't send her to prison. Saitama thought for a moment and said, "It's not good for a child to go to prison, it's easy to leave a stain. Let her stay on our ship for now and give her a chance to reform." Upon hearing this, Toshigi was instantly filled with admiration. Indeed, Rear Admiral Saitama was kind-hearted and righteous. Saitama himself didn't think much of it. He glanced at the members of the defeated Don Quixote family, then looked at the distant ship. A glimmer of light flashed in his eyes, which didn't match his usual image. A heavenly yaksha escort ship. There should be a devil fruit, right? In reality, even if Doflamingo surrenders, Saitama cannot immediately continue his journey. His warship was cut by Diamante's sword, the warship's bridge was severed, which has already affected their ability to set sail. However, the greatest advantage of the marine forces is that they have their own bases in various seas. Under the efforts of soldiers led by Toshigi, the warship is being towed by Doflamingo's ship, which has the least damage, towards the marine G-13 fortress. Of course, the escort ship for the Heavenly Gold is also being towed along. "I really have to thank you all this time." Kataru's head is wrapped in bandages, and he breathes a sigh of relief. "I never expected there would be an attack on the Heavenly Gold." The Heavenly Gold is the treasure that the world government's affiliated countries offer to the celestial dragons every year. All 170 affiliated countries will hand over the treasure to the Marine's escort ship, which will deliver the Heavenly Gold to the Holy Land Mariajoy. Robbing the Heavenly Gold? Of course, it's possible. As long as you can bear the consequences of being relentlessly pursued by the Marine. Kadaro scolds the members of the Don Quixote family who obediently surrendered. "These bastards, aren't they afraid of being pursued by the Marine? If they hadn't all been locked up in the prison on the warship, he would have kicked them all." Saitama glances at him. Of course, he's not afraid. Doflamingo is a celestial dragon, while the Marine is subordinate to the celestial dragons. Subordinates rising above their superiors, this is a serious crime anywhere. So, the Marine's pursuit, they can pursue, but they can't kill him. The most likely outcome is a compromise, appointing him as a Shicibukai. Of course, this is also Doflamingo's goal. By the way, Rear Admiral Saitama, Kadaro coughs, regarding our cooperation in capturing the Don Quixote family, how about we report it together? Cooperate? Toshigi's expression changes. Cooperate? When did we cooperate? Clearly, we went to save you, otherwise you would have died long ago. How dare you shamelessly talk about cooperation, truly shameless. Kadaro also knows that his behavior is not good, but he has no other choice. The escort ship has been damaged to the point where it probably can't sail without repairs. Even if they change ships, it will be a huge hassle. And he himself has been beaten like this, he might be criticized by his superiors. To gain a little credit from Saitama is also unavoidable. Isn't it normal for a newcomer like you to cooperate with an old-timer like me? Kadaro smiles, as a senior, I will guide you on what to do next. If it doesn't work, then don't blame him for being impolite. It's just a matter of writing the report skillfully. After all, he also participated in the battle, which is an undeniable fact. If Saitama doesn't agree, he plans to emphasize the theme of, I am the leader, and I use others for my own benefit, in the report to be submitted to the Marine. For example, when I was in a difficult situation with the Don Quixote family, Saitama came and took advantage of the situation. And then he completely tarnished his reputation using his connections in the Marines. Oh? Saitama looked dumbfounded, as if he had no idea what Kader was talking about. You just have to agree, let's settle it like this. Kader waved his hand, I can write your report for you later. With that, he walked back confidently. He still had to think about how to write the report. Saitama Rear Admiral, are you just going to let him erase your achievements? Toshigi couldn't help but speak up after Kader left. Well, he did take action. Saitama still had a dumb and cute expression. But Toshigi bit her lip and ultimately didn't say what she wanted to say. The speed of ship repairs was fast, especially with the elite soldiers of the Marines working together. Perhaps individual ship repair workers couldn't compare to someone like Frankie, but the ship repair workers at the Marine base were not just a few, but dozens or even hundreds of people. With their cooperation, the ships were quickly repaired. During this time, Saitama had captured quite a few pirates, and with the addition of the Don Quixote family, the prison on the ship was almost full. Under Toshigi's command, the numerous pirate prisoners were escorted to the Marine base's prison, and with the manpower and time arranged by the naval headquarters, they were sent to the deep-sea prison. Of course, the most important thing was the escort ship, and in order to obtain the treasures inside the ship, the Don Quixote family didn't go too hard on the escort ship. So Kader set sail ahead of Saitama. It's really easy. Kader smiled, that bald guy is strong, but so easy to deal with. The Don Quixote family had been hunted by the Marines for a long time, but there had been no progress. Even the Chief of Staff Crane personally took action, but couldn't catch Doflamingo himself. Now, he easily took such a big advantage. Maybe he could go from Rear Admiral to Vice Admiral. It looks like I'll have to cooperate more with that bald guy in the future. Kader laughed heartily. Taking credit? No. This is the friendly guidance of an old senior to a junior. He will definitely be grateful. Suddenly, a communication soldier ran over in a panic. Rear Admiral Kader, something bad happened. We're under attack. An enemy. Kader frowned, stood up with a determined look, and said proudly, who is so bold? Doesn't he know that I just captured the heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo? In just a moment, he had already become the one who captured Doflamingo. It's, the communication soldier had a mournful face. It's Uchiha Madara.